Firefly just dropped, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably struggling to build your character like myself, because if you're not and you just happen to build her in like 5 minutes, fuck you. But on a more serious note, I wanted to play Firefly and Boothill simply because I like Boothill. Now, I happen to get Boothill on like a random fuck it 10 pool, and we got him. But that may have cursed my Firefly pools, because now they shouldn't have put that in the game, bro. This is unfort. You gotta be fucking
crazy.
We're using test server today. Now, this is something that a few of you have already asked me about. Does Boothill work with Firefly? And I'm proud to say, maybe proud isn't the word. I didn't make Boothill or I didn't make Firefly, but I'm happy to say that it does work. I've been cooking this idea for a little bit, but it was impossible for me to do because I have to grind for relics, grind for gems, jades, things like that, and get the characters. But I do have access to the test server, thankfully. And I also happen to see that not only myself, but I believe Ikatsu, shout outs to Ikatsu, and then Wyatt Sky, shout outs to Wyatt Sky. Also Sarah showed me her own clip because I asked her about some stuff just to like figure out what was going on with this. But these 3 players have already figured out how to do this on their own account, and they actually had different methods of doing this. So I want to go over that and break this down in today's video and explain why this team is like, listen, y'all were saying Firefly only had 1 comp, which was the Harmony MC, Ruan Mei, and then Gallagher. I guess replace a sustain with Fushuen or Adventuring, whatever you want. But I'm gonna keep it a buck. Adding Firefly and Boothill together, listen, I didn't think this was gonna be a team that worked because skill point and meter management. This might be, even outside of the Trotter, this might be one of her best teams, if not her best team. So now that I've laid out the concept of Boothill x Firefly, like that team is just nasty, it's ridiculous. You're probably asking yourself why. How? This doesn't make any sense because they're not supposed to work together. But in fact, I think actually more than a few break effect characters really work together in this game, at least during this current MOC. Let me explain. The question is, what makes them strong together? Immediately is going to be the fact that they break everything round start. There's almost never a single point in time where they're not breaking something. The combination of Boothill, especially once you stack his metals, and then Firefly being able to attack back to back to back, literally 2 to 3 times, depending on the Trotter being on the team. Or if you add a 4th character, you can just straight up use that Harmony MC. You can give her Dance Dance Dance. Or you can have Bronya, Sparkle, Robin, whoever it is that you want to use, you can find a way to fit them in. Removing the sustain, that's something that I want to talk about here as well, which is kind of like the second best point. It pretty much flows better without a sustain. Now, you guys know me. I'm sure I've made plenty of videos on this. I'm a big fan of Gallagher. I think Gallagher is easily one of the best sustains in the game right now. Top 3 in my opinion. But this particular team, the Power Rangers, the Common Riders, whatever you want to call them, the break effect meta feels a little better without a sustain. Now, I think it's different in Gallagher's case because Gallagher is one of those sustains that I prioritize, or rather I pride. I always gas up these particular sustain characters because not only do they keep the team alive, but they also help in some other way, shape, or form, whether that be damage, crit damage buffs, crit rate buffs, vulnerability additions, anything of the sort that they're allowing the team or whatever to take advantage of is beautiful. Then you couple in the fact that Boothill's ultimate, Ruan Mei's domain, Harmony MC's entire kit, or at least some aspects of the kit, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the talents that create strong delays overall. That's 30%, that's another 20%, right, from Ruan Mei, and then Boothill's ultimate is 40%. Firefly, depending on if you have her signature or not, as well as Boothill's light cone, also adds even more delay into the mix. These particular characters are so strong together that they pretty much don't need a sustain. They sustain themselves. It's crazy. If we reference back to when I was talking about my the break meta, right, the one video that I made with Boothill, and I said that Boothill's an amazing character. I could easily see him being a top 5 DPS, but I'm worried about the break meta, and I feel like it's not ready yet. Now that we have Firefly, and now that I'm able to mix and match whoever I want with these 2 characters in particular, it does feel like the break meta is ready. And I want to keep that with a grain of salt, simply because the new MOC is pretty powerful. The Bronya Trotter is something that I'm not saying I didn't expect it, but I didn't expect it to have this much impact. It pretty much feels like having a permanent, or rather temporary, 5th character on your team. That 5th character just happens to be Bronya, so long as you can match the element to break the Trotter. And with Firefly and Boothill both having the ability to implant their own weakness on the team, it makes it so much easier for one of them to be able to break that Trotter and then take as much advantage as possible on the MOC. But I don't want to gas up everybody too much. Let's talk about what makes this team inferior, or at least troublesome, because I don't really think this team is inferior. In fact, I think this might be like a top 2 team. The most important thing to keep in mind when focusing on this team is meter management. It's completely rough with these particular characters on the team, simply because of the fact that meter management is something that it's a skill, right? It's an acquired skill. Not everybody has that, especially the newer players playing Star Rail. And that's okay. There's no shame in having, well, I guess having a lack of meter management or skill in the game. Most players are like the vocal minority. Yeah, that's the loud minority. I think that's what it is, right? They will tell you that the game is, you know, you can beat everything in the game with 4 stars. It's super easy. Just auto everything, blah, 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 blah. Ask them. And I this is jokester EO right now, right? The next time someone tells you that everything can be beaten in the game with 4-star characters, tell them to do it. Tell them to go in 2 or 3 cycle, whatever it is that you're talking about, with only 4-star characters. And just to add some salt, right? To rub salt in the wound, tell them to do it with legit only free-to-play characters, no gacha characters, no gacha light cones, and then see how much of a difference what they're talking about becomes. I don't even think that sentence came out right. You're gonna see that they're lying to you, and they don't even realize they're lying because they haven't done it themselves. Anyway, back to the video. Regarding meter management, Boothill needs his medals ASAP. So there are 2 ways you can go about this. The Trotter makes this significantly easier because you're able to pretty much take advantage of not only getting 2 medals ASAP and killing a mob, but you also get the action advance forward, which pretty much allows you to have 2 medals and an ult, and then you can pretty much one-shot whatever elite you want that's standing in front of you. And this is really good right now because most of the MOCs that we've seen, at least coming into the future and presently, have all been stacked with 2 elites in the first phase, 1 big elite or 1 main boss in the second phase, or 2 elites and then another 2 elites depending on what's going on, right? A boss and an elite, or 2 elites, whatever the case may be. And Boothill is able to crack down on that and take advantage of that, at least right now, because of the Trotter. Super good stuff. Without the Trotter, and keep this again with take this with a grain of salt, I still think Boothill is able to do that. I've been able to do this with the fish bombs in the previous MOC. I've been able to do this with the dogs. Anything that starts the game off and it seems to be a pretty weak mob, because of how strong his single target break damage is, he's able to pretty much one-shot any mob in the game if he can break it in that same action. Next up is going to be Firefly, who needs to get her ultimate in a timely fashion. She pretty much has to stay online when it matters at all times. Now, there are some situations where you pretty much will go offline, but ideally, if you're focusing on zero cycling, which I will show you in the coming segments of this video, I'll show you 2 different zero cycles using 2 different sets of gear, right, with Firefly and Boothill, but you'll see what I'm talking about. And you don't go outside of Kamen Rider mode. Like Kamen Rider Sam mode, I'm pretty much permanently in that, and that's what has to happen with the zero cycle. Sometimes you'll run out of it, but ideally you don't. And again, that all comes down to meter management and how you play in the game. Lastly, of course, skill points are going to be brutal, especially if you suck at the game or you leave this on auto, because then the robot system is going to use everyone's skill points, including HMCs and Ruan Mei's. And I suppose the final thing to talk about when it comes to the negatives about this team is that it is a Wagyu beef quality team, bro. This is a premium team. All right, if you don't have 2, 1, 2, 3, right, 3 different premium characters, limited banner characters at that, Ruan Mei, Boothill, Firefly, 3 characters that if you just started the game, they all just came back to back, right? Boothill, Firefly, and Ruan Mei are right here right now, and they're together. So if you didn't already have Mei, if you're not a low spender and you didn't already have Boothill, or you're not insanely lucky, you don't even have like 75% of what you need to complete this team. Then you need the gear. Now there's some new sets of gear, the Iron Cavalry, which means if you farm for Iron Cavalry, you can actually farm for 2 of the characters. And if you go farm Watchmaker, you can farm for 2 of the characters, right? Watchmaker for Ruan Mei, and then for HMC, and then you could farm for Iron Cavalry, for Firefly, and then for Boothill. And it works phenomenally well. That way you pretty much mitigate however many resources you're using when you're farming, and you can give the spares to whoever. But the last little 25% would be the signature light cones. Now, you don't need this. I'm going to show a run where no one has signature light cones except Mei, and the only reason she has it is because I really just don't feel like taking it off for her. I am using a test server once again, but if in the event you don't have that and you have memories of the past, that totally works too. I've done it before. They do the same thing. It's just a little bit more damage, but they do so much over damage. Like, you'll see what, in fact, you know what? Let me just show you. So right now we're over here inside of the MOC, the Trotter, right? Bronya Trotter MOC. This team in particular is something that I kind of like it, right? I mess with it a little bit. I think it's pretty cool. Let me break down why some of the things happen before we actually get into it and why they're important. Ruan Mei in particular, depending on whether or not you're running with the, let's go over Boothill real quick. Boothill has 2 options, okay? You can run Windset Boothill, which drastically changes how everybody else wants to play it. And I actually think that Windset Boothill is phenomenally cracked. This is a really good idea, a really good set. Now, because I know most people simply you're not farming for win set, unlike others, right? When you get into the 0 cycles, win set really just lets you or allows you to do things that you otherwise wouldn't have the ability to do. I am at E0 for anybody that's going to be asking that. And of course, my traces are going to be maxed out for maximum damage. Win set forces me to run his signature light cone. Now, I don't have this in my own game, so I'm not even going to bother with this. It's definitely possible, and I will show you the run, or I'll link down Wyatt's. I'm going to link it anyway, but I'll link down Wyatt's video so you guys can watch that. Outside of that, though, what I've been doing is literally running this with either, where are we at? I just had it. There we go. River flows in spring, or adversarial, or yeah, right? Adversarial is here. There we go. Which is going to be the 3-star light cone that a few people were talking about during Boothill stuff. And Boothill didn't really get a lot of shine during his banner. You guys know why. It's because he's a dude. I don't make the rules. It is what it is. But Boothill is one of my favorite male characters, especially in Honkai Star Rail. But River Flows in Spring is solid. Now, this one works with, where are we at? Everything that I have on Sushong, if I'm not mistaken, is what I need to take off. I think I swapped all the pieces around. I like to try and keep it organized because we still don't have a relic set gear loadout. So I have to put pieces and gear on other characters in order to make that work out. Okay, so now my Boothill is going to have 2k attack, 151 speed, 46 crit rate, 75 crit damage, but I have 175 break effect. And actually, is this my Boothill? 151 is not too bad. Ruan Mei is going to bump that up to 161, so I still technically get that. But the win set being at 161 was important because win set 161 on Boothill allows him to break a couple different speed points so that he can get 3 attacks in 1 cycle. But again, I'll show you guys that. Firefly is pretty basic. I'm also doing this without her signature light cone. Why? Because I really just feel like we don't need it. Ball of Aeon is such a good light cone on Firefly that it's also going to give you a big attack increase. You see that I go to 2,500 compared to what would have been maybe 1,700, 1,800, 1,900, things like that. My speed is 155 and my break effect is 198. Nothing too crazy. These are things that are easily attainable within the game. Maybe not easily, but definitely doable, right? Relatable. I'm also at E0, even though E1 is nasty. This is cracked. I want it. Ruan Mei, when you're running win set in particular, and I will show you guys this as we go through the run, win set 121. It has to be 121. If it's not 121, what ends up happening on this particular run is that our Argenti will basically put up shields after Ruan Mei goes, because Mei will be so much like 1 or 2 points faster than the shields. So then you'll attack, you'll waste a turn, they'll put up shields, and then you'll be forced to use Firefly's attack to burn on the shields, and it's not a good time. So it is what it is. And then of course you have Trailblazer. I don't really care about Trailblazer's speed, to be fair. 144 is kind of like the standard here. You can go higher, you can go lower. I choose not to go lower, and if you can make that any higher, it'd be awesome. But so we'll set it up the usual stuff. I'm going to be using my techniques. I'm going to start off with Firefly, because Firefly is pretty much going to give me all of the fire implant that I want. Now, running through this took me a little bit of time to get used to, because sometimes you can run 0 cycles however you want, but then other times you have to do things in a very specific order. And in this particular one, with the trotter being as strong as it is, you do have to take advantage of that. So this particular wave 1 doesn't matter all that much, right? You're going to go ahead and do basics. Now, some people will use, back when I was using HMC, some people will use skill, and that way you can beat down on the envoy, the fan lady, aka Mai Shiranui Robot Edition. You could beat down on her, and then it's going to help you break her even faster. But with Boothill on the team, this actually doesn't matter, and I'll show you why. So with Boothill, I'm going to go ahead and target the trotter, and I'm going to use skill on the trotter. Why am I doing that? One of the things that I talked about early in the video was that Boothill, or the team as a whole, struggles with meter management, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Boothill being able to take out the trotter with his skill, right, my standoff, not only would this give me a medal for breaking him, but because he auto dies as soon as he's broken, I'm also going to get 2 medals. So now that helps me crack down every enemy in the game very easily. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the dropper lady so that I can get 3 medals guaranteed, stacked out, like basically in 1 turn. So we're going to stand off against her just so I set everything up. I'm going to go ahead and activate Mei just so I get the extra penetration. And then I'm going to piano. Piano is a fighting game term. Just don't stress about that, guys. I use fighting game terms all the time. Piano just means when you like press something 1-2 like really fast, right? So I'm just going to piano that so that everybody's ult lines up so that they all happen. And then I'm going to be able to blam, 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 right? With why do I do that? I don't know why I do that, guys. It just comes out. It's the cowboy in me, even though I like ninjas more, but whatever. 50k on their head, nice. And I do have the new Iron Cavalry set, which is going to be giving me, let me just double check it. so you guys can actually see this here, right? Look at that break effect, bro. 393. Oh my, look at that damage percent. Oh my gosh, you don't even need a physical orb after this, bro. This is crazy. Anyhow, I have the is it gonna show it down here? I don't think it shows it. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna show it to me. The new set, right, where I get like a defense percent, where I ignore defense whenever I attack them through the super break and the weakness. It's really nice. But anyway, I'm not really worried about the My Share new robot. Gonna break her. Boom, 334. She's almost dead. I'm going to target with Firefly. Going to boom, pop that, activate ult. We're gonna go into Common Rider Sam mode. Common Rider Sam mode is the best thing in the game. All right, Common Rider Sam mode. Normally what I would have done is I would have attacked the middle lady, killed both of them, broke all three. The bomb would have exploded. It would have killed whatever was left, and then I would have been able to bully down this girl. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to attack her to break her so we don't take any damage, because you know the team doesn't do any damage if they're not broken or you can't break them. Then I'm going to build up some skill points here. Still pretty much going to be taking the same thing that I saw from Wyatt, which is like building skill points towards the end. And I already use basic attacks as it is. Again, that was something I talked to you guys about earlier in the video. Now, normally with the win set, you're going to have to use, or you're allowed, I should say, the basic attack right here. But again, I'll show you guys the win set run, or at least this part of the win set run. I'll show the differences here. And then so with this one, you're just going to take out the lady, 428 on the head. I wanted to get my ultimate, but because I'm not running win set, some things have to change. And this is, now we're in the different route. Okay, so now that we're running Iron Cavalry instead of the win set, you're not going to have your ultimate turn 1 going against Argenti. That's okay, don't stress. You're pretty much going to bully Argenti with Firefly. You're going to burn both of your skills to break this down as fast as possible. You're going to allow Argenti to set up his shields, get a little basic attack off. I was really hoping he did not hit Boothill, because we might die now. All right, he lives on 1%, bro. 1%. That's okay. We're gonna get the super break right here. He's gonna set this up. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delay him with my ultimate so that I don't have to worry about him setting up shields or anything else like that. This is gonna put him back, which is fine. Okay, now Mei still has she still has her domain expansion. Okay, domain expansion is still activated. I'm going to take out the shield guy now so that I could put shields hopefully on everybody. I'm also going to be able to do toughness damage to Argenti. And then instead of getting the kill with Boothill here, there we go. Barriers on everybody now. Beautiful stuff. Okay, now we're going to pop him. Blam. Look at that. Look at my boy Boothill. Okay, Argenti turn no more. Argenti turn no more, bro. Look at that, 436. If I would have hit 200k more, 600k, mans would have been gone. But this is the zero cycle, and I feel like this is the easiest zero cycle to run so far, because you're pretty much able to take him out. I don't need to worry about the damage on him. We're gonna go for this. That's gonna crack down just to get a little bit of extra damage, just to show off, right? You see that these last two shields are here. We're gonna go for this. I don't have to worry about crit because it's break damage, and my boy is gone. 250 on his head. GG's. Easiest run of my life. Once Sarah told me to run Cavalry instead of trying to struggle with win set. But let me show you guys the actual win set. So hold on. Okay, now let's say you're running win set, as I mentioned earlier, right? Some of the things change. Those things changing being the relic set, of course, and then your signature light cone. You're going to be changing this from whatever the light cone you were running to the signature. Why are you doing that? Because signature gives you a plus 60% break effect for free, which jumps you all the way over 200%. Now, if you can naturally get 200% break effect with all the other stats that I mentioned, or that you can see from like Wyatt's build, for instance, Wyatt has a cracked out build, guys. 3k attack, 161 damage, and then 200% break effect with the win set. That's a nasty build. Now, granted, he does have signature light cone, so you take that away, he only has 140 break effect. But we're playing with Sig right now, just so I can show the differences. Yeah, so we're running this pretty much the same way. A lot of what you saw me do, same exact way. And again, some people like to use skill here. I don't, because I've gotten it to a point where this doesn't matter. And I'm also able to save, you know, whenever you use HMC skill, you get a free skill point, right? So I'm able to save that for the wave 2 so that I don't run out of skill points. Again, what did I talk about in the beginning of this video? The team struggles with meter management. So when you figure out how to do meter management, GG's no re. You don't have to worry about anything. Same thing that I'm going to do with the Trotter. Blam, right? Gonna get standoff, 2 medals, just like that. Now we're going to go ahead and stand off against Joppa Lady. Same thing as before. I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna piano it, running through everybody's ults just like normal. Hit them with that delay, but it doesn't matter. They're gonna get cracked out. And then now, blah, blah, blam, right? 383 on their head. You're going to do the same thing as we did before over here. Literally the same way that you played with Rivers in Spring and the Cavalry set is the same way that you play over here. Now, there is a small difference in what you're about to notice. If you look over here to my left, which you guys can't see it because of my mouse, let me turn that on for y'all. So now you guys can see the mouse, right? You see right here, I'm at the top of the action order. Look all the way at the bottom. Boothill's at the bottom. That's because of the win set. That's because I'm having 161 or, you know, close to 161 speed, right? I'm in that ballpark. And I was able to abuse the Trotter. Because of that, I'm now able to pretty much give Boothill a skill point, right? He can generate his own skill points. We're going to basic attack on the lady. She's going to still be delayed. That's fine. And then now I do the same exact thing that I did before, right? Double basic, build up my skill points. Boom, fish goes. And now I pretty much go with Ruan Mei. Now, the problem with this is because Ruan Mei basically takes her turn, I did waste my one turn of her ultimate, yeah? And so again, same thing. Why am I doing basic and not killing with Firefly? The reason I'm doing that is because I need Boothill to do his skill, kill the lady, and then he's gonna start off in wave 2 with the ultimate. Everybody's gonna get popped. He's gonna do this. Firefly gets to go because she her implant is gonna take out the Trotter. And now I can use this against Argenti. Not only is it gonna slow him down, but it's also going to make it so that I can attack him. You see right there. And then Boothill gets to go right after. So because I'm doing it this way, now what ends up happening is if I'm calculated, one shot. Calculated. Come on, bro. So we immediately go into the next wave. Now, because we're going into the next wave immediately, I'm able to pretty much take out whatever's going on. Now, before you saw me go for the shield, right? Because I kind of had to. I don't want him to set up shield. But this is what I meant before when I said Mei having 121, super important. You see that she's at 39 and the shields are at 35. That's because we've already taken a turn. Unlike previously where Argenti would have pretty much been able to set everything up and then one of the shields would have went whatever, the damage boosting shield, something like that. So now I'm able to spread out who goes where because she has 121. She has 122, she has 123, she has 124. It's going to be above the shield. In particular, this shield right here, the one that gives everyone or random people a shield. It's always Argenti plus 2 other random characters, yeah? So now we're going to pretty much use E. And we're safe to do that in the middle of Argenti, which is going to give us the most break damage possible. Whatever HMC is going to be doing doesn't matter. You want to generate the skill point. She's going to get her ult anyway. Damage boost on Argenti, that's very scary. But ideally, he's not going to attack anymore. Unfortunately, we no longer have her ult. That is a problem. Not having Ruan Mei's ult right here is a problem, but now we can take this out. Argenti's gonna go, and you see that Boothill, right, does not die. Thankfully, we didn't get hit. Boom, beautiful. And now Boothill is able to break. We didn't get Mei's ult, which is a little unfortunate. I feel like that was very critical, but you see, we're in the very, like the middle of the 29th cycle, right? Blah, 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 blam, 26 HP. Yo, Boothill, please, 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 please. All right, Boothill's gone. He's a goner. He's a goner, all right? Unfortunately, Boothill did get destroyed right here. That was not supposed to happen, but we can finish this off. It's okay. All right. The 0 cycle is still a 0 cycle, even if somebody dies. I know y'all know it. I know it is what it is. 24%. GG's no read, bro. Look at that. 323. Beautiful. But that's it. I feel like that was a nice little wrap up. I haven't done something like this in almost forever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't done anything like this before either. But point being is that this showcase, this analysis showcase, I really enjoyed this. All right. I think Break as a whole is one of the new metas that I'm really going to have a lot of fun with. And I'm excited to see more Break characters come in the future, especially if they have action advance built into their kit. Or like, dude, imagine if somebody can just one tap the entire toughness meter. That'd be crazy. You know what I want to try out next? Maybe I shouldn't tell you, because if I just do it, fuck it. I'm gonna try out Boothill and Shui. I think that might work, right? Can we agree on that? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, let me get some final thoughts, like a little recap of how I feel about Boothill and Firefly as a team, okay? I mentioned this previously throughout the video and a number of times at that. Boothill is an insanely strong single target DPS character that outright shreds toughness bar and HP for little to no investment compared to a lot of the other DPS units. One of his only downsides is just not breaking fast enough, and I talked about that in a lot of other videos regarding Boothill, or where I thought Boothill would end up in terms of the meta. And then you also have the fact that there can always be multiple enemies on the field, which he can't target all at once, both of which Firefly as a teammate handles in this combo. And then we just kind of reverse it. Firefly loves being paired up against single target units that help her clean the board, simply because it allows her to stay in Kamen Rider Sam mode for even longer than usual. Then you have Mei and Harmony MC, who pretty much feel essential on this team for a number of variable controlling reasons. So honestly, don't have a replacement to think of, but I guess if I had to do anything, you would replace somebody with Gallagher, but you wouldn't replace one of these two with Gallagher, so it feels really weird. No other character in the game does what Mei does in a single kit, and Harmony MC brings a ridiculous 2x super break for not only Firefly, but Boothill as well to take advantage of. Each of these units delaying the enemy after being weakness broken, something to which no other character in the game is doing supportively, and then adding that on top of Boothill's ultimate delay, dude, you're pushing every enemy into the next cycle with the right combo play with each and every break. This team is Fuego, and I honestly think it might be a solid contender for one of the best teams in the game. Of course, I'm still gonna have to test that outside of the Bronya Trotter, but until then, I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later. I guess I should have said like the video, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you want to see more of this stuff. This is a high quality edit. Like I haven't done one of these for Star Rail in a long time. Peace. I got more videos to make, bro. It's nighttime. It's gonna be like midnight before I know it.